Hey everybody, BlakeCrossEXE here. I know I literally just posted a video a couple days ago saying there wasn't going to be any more uploads for about a week because my computer bit the dust, but then I remembered that I promised something about a year ago. About a year ago, actually it's a couple days from now, it'll be exactly 1 year, I released my The Purge election year review, and I did say that the prequel movie to The Purge would be coming out, and it's out now. I just watched it, and I'm here to give my... Yeah, there's fireworks going on outside. Of course, it's the day after, or it's the day before 4th of July. By the time this video gets up, it will be the 4th of July, so, happy Independence Day, everybody. So, the first Purge, as it was, released on July 3rd, 7 p.m. is when I went to see it. And I'm kind of mixed on this one. It does kind of take what I said into account. I don't think they watched my video and said, hey, do this. But the points I brought up in my previous video as to how to make it better, some of the points were there, but a lot of them weren't. And I feel like they had the right outline for this movie, but filled it in incorrectly. Just for the best results, I would say. Let me start at where the movie starts. Actually, before we do that, I need to try to figure out when this movie takes place. If we go by the trailers of the original Purge movie, then the earliest footage we have is from 2014. And the only reason I bring that up is because there's some technological things, in the movie they do have, tiny video cameras in contact lenses, which I don't know if we have that kind of technology, but at the same time, it's government planned, so they got money to throw, they wouldn't make that public, blah, 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 minor note. Okay, but the movie actually starts, and it shows us... We see this guy talking with a couple of inmates, and he asks them, what do you do when you're angry? And this one, who his face is kind of disfigured, he looks like he's got bone implants in his forehead, and he's got a couple scars on his cheeks. He says that whenever he gets really mad and needs to escape, he'd always get high. He would use drugs, but whenever he can't, he feels the need to hurt people. And so the doctor asks him, what would you say if I told you very soon you'd be able to hurt people? And the inmate told him that he felt the need to purge. So the first time we ever heard the word purge used in this context was by this inmate. Now this inmate actually, never caught his real name, but in the movie he goes by, of all things, his villain name is Skeletor. I'm not even joking, the Purge movie now has Skeletor. So He-Man's got some competition here. We see them talk with at least one other inmate, and I think we do see her later in the movie, but she actually doesn't play as big a role, or she does is from the opposite end of the spectrum. I think she actually was one of the protagonists, not one of the main ones, but she was helping out the main protagonists. So the way the story goes is that overpopulation in America has become a major issue. There's too many poor and unemployed people, not enough resources to go around, not enough housing, not enough money, and this new group called the New Founding Fathers finally gets into office, and their first president is elected, and it goes from there. So, in a nutshell, the Purge ends up being the New Founding Fathers' solution to the overpopulation issue. Basically, to simplify it, imagine if Thanos from Infinity War decided to become a politician. Their goal is to use the Purge to wipe out the poor, homeless, and anyone who can't pay taxes. That's the message I got from it. Wipe them out to have more resources spread around. So it could just be because we just came off of Infinity War, back in May. So yeah, that was just playing in my head the whole time. I'm like, hey guys, Thanos beat you to it. Yeah, that's now. But so. I said they had the right outline. What I mean by that, before the Purge started, they actually announced that they were going to do it. They announced it to the public, and they said it was going to stay in this one section of New York called Staten Island. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's going to be the only place that actually was affected by the first Purge. It was going to be a 12-hour period where all crime is legal. And they actually did something to kind of incentivize people to commit crimes. Or at least to participate in the Purge itself. They told people that if you will, let's put a tracking device in you, and if you'll wear these contact lenses that have cameras in them so we can see what you're doing, and you stay on this island for the whole Purge period, if you survive, we'll give you $5,000. The particular area they chose it was full of it was in the ghetto. There's a lot of, like, I think it's called the projects areas too. A lot of low-income places, a lot of really poor people. So in the movie, they use that as where they get their people from. They're like, yeah, these people really need money. They're hurting for cash. They needed to keep their house, or some junkies need it for drug money, etc. Which is like going back to the inmate I was telling you about earlier. So they're getting to participate in the purge, and they're also getting paid for it. And the New Founding Fathers and those involved with the experiment, as it was called then, it was just called the experiment. It was dubbed the purge by the participants. They told them that if you actually go out and actively participate in the purge, if you go out there and commit crimes, commit murder, vandalize things, do all this kind of stuff, you'll be compensated even further besides just the $5,000 we're already giving you. So that actually does have a good basis to where they could build this up to where everyone goes crazy and participates in it. And no, in the later movies, not everybody gets paid for the purge. You know, like I mentioned in my previous review, this thing's been going on for at least 20 years. If I'm not mistaken, the Purge 3 takes place in the year 2024, 2025, something like that, because in Senator Rowan's flashback, it said 18 years prior, and the earliest known recorded footage we have in-universe is on 2014. But that's... the only reason I bring that up is to kind of show the decline of society's moral fiber. Now, like I said, good outline, but filled in improperly, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Our main cast consists of 3 primary characters. We have Naya, who is a big sister, and she looks out for people in her neighborhood during the purge. We have her little brother Isaiah, who has been trying to get some extra money to help them try to improve the apartment they live in. They live in this really run-down building. It's got cockroaches, sewer problems, you know, whole 9 yards. Really, really bad situation. So he actually at one point takes up selling drugs to try to get the money. And on his first day on the job, he runs into Skeletor. And even though the purge ain't started yet, Skeletor pulls a blade on him and actually cuts him on the neck. It doesn't kill him, obviously. It doesn't hurt him too terribly bad, but he does bleed a little bit. And the third main character that we have is Dimitri, who is actually the leader of the drug ring that Isaiah started working for. Dimitri didn't know this, but he has a past with Naya, and that just kind of forms an interesting dynamic throughout the rest of the movie. And we see a little development on their parts as time goes on. So the purge commences, and it starts off really slow. Oh, and get this. They actually brought in a scientist to explain why the purge works. And it was this lady scientist came up with these figures explaining the inner desires of humanity, the tendency to be a violent species, and that kind of thing. Explaining how, like, just in nature, as animals get violent as well, humans are kind of the same deal. Her projection for the Purge Night was start off really violent and then taper off as time goes on. But it's having the opposite effect. It started off, nobody was killing anybody. The first one to actually get a kill was Skeletor. He stabbed a guy who was trying to rob an ATM. And that's one thing I brought up during my review as well. I expected on a night where all crime's legal to see a lot more looting and vandalism instead of just flat out killing everybody, which we did see. We actually saw a lot more looting and vandalism, which is good. I mean, it's not good they would do that, but it's good that they actually expand the horizon of crimes being committed besides just, hey, murder everybody. And there actually was an attempted rape at one point. Now, it didn't show anything. There was nothing graphic, and the dude got pepper sprayed in the face, which was funny. But it does show that they expanded their creativity in crimes besides just murder everybody. By they, I mean the directors and writers of this movie. Moving on, one thing I find kind of funny, and I don't really know how to take it, is a lot of people were throwing block parties during the Purge. During the first Purge, they were just out there having a big old time, having a rave. They're like, yeah, all crime's legal, so let's just get out here. Let's have a rave. Like, you know, hey, we're disturbing the peace. We're probably on ecstasy or something. Which, again, I gotta say, technically, that would be illegal. And they mentioned they saw a couple people having sex in the middle of the streets, which is also illegal. And they're like, okay, well, if we're breaking the law, this is how we break the law. And again, that is part of a good outline. It starts off with them committing petty crimes, and then it slowly progresses. then they just have to shoot the whole thing in the face. The New Founding Fathers, I can't remember the name of the character who was like in the main control center monitoring the whole thing through the eye cameras and the drones that got flying around and all that, but he decides that people aren't killing each other fast enough, so they hired in mercenaries to go in and start gunfights to stoke the fire, as they called it. He hired mercs to go in and just start gunning people down so to make people die faster. We literally, at one point, have a SWAT team going through the apartment building I mentioned earlier, just going from door to door to door to door, just mow down the family, just move it on, literally purge the entire building of all living inhabitants. So, started off with a good outline, and then they did that. And I'm like, that just breaks it completely. It breaks the idea of getting the rest of the country involved, which that bit isn't actually, the information doesn't go public as far as I know, because, well, I mean, we have 3 more movies that take place after this, and people are actually going along with it. So I'm going to guess the bit about the government conspiracy doesn't actually come to light until much later. Eventually, Dimitri and his gang have to help protect the neighborhood from said SWAT team and said hired mercenaries, because they actually figure out what's going on. One guy spots matching tattoos on the mercs' necks, and he said that last time he saw that was when he was in the military, and that means they're guns for hire. That means that after they got out of the war, then they went on to become mercenaries. So there's something big going on here. They find one of the guy's headsets, and they intercept each transmission to find out where the next gunfight's going to go down, and they just proceed on. And one thing I gotta say, one of the main guys in the SWAT team that stormed the apartment building, his face looks just like the medic from Team Fortress 2. I'm not even kidding. Like, just give him the glasses and you got it made. He's got like the very, very slim looking face. He's got his hair up like that. Just give him the glasses and give him a German accent. You got the whole package. Isaiah was supposed to leave Staten Island and go to Brooklyn to stay with his uncle while this whole thing was going on. And Naya was going to stay behind and help out the people who couldn't get out of town, because apparently bus tickets got really expensive this night. But Isaiah decided to not leave. He decided to stick around and actually join the Purge. He didn't end up killing anybody, although he did get into 1 or 2 fights. At one point, we actually have this group of people just start chasing him for no real given reason, but I guess they just decided to kill him to see if he had any valuables on him, like, you know, any money or his gun, which he actually ended up losing. He ended up going to one of those little block parties I was telling you about, and then Skeletor shows up to that place, and Isaiah wanted to fight Skeletor and wanted to kill him because, like I said, he almost killed him out in broad daylight. Skeletor stabs up a couple people at the party disperses, and Isaiah's left there literally holding Skeletor up at gunpoint, but he doesn't pull the trigger. And it could have gone either way. Like, I'm not going to say him pulling the trigger, yes, would have been good, or him not pulling it would have been better. Just from a logic standpoint, it would have been more rational if he had done so, because the guy has already made an attempt on your life once. He just stabbed up a bunch of people, and you have the opportunity to stop him. But that's a moral debate for another time. But Isaiah ended up not shooting him and actually dropped his gun when he was running away. And then Skeletor left him the warning that he was going to hunt him down and find him no matter where he went. Which could have played into something better later on, but didn't, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So Naya ends up being holed up at the local church with all of her, neighborhood friends and all that. And then when the mercenaries and SWAT teams come out, they end up shooting up the church. Naya survives because she was away from the church looking for Isaiah, because when he gets chased by those crazy people, he actually called her and said, "Hey, come get me, I screwed up, I'm in trouble, I'm over here." So she managed to survive by doing that. Then Dimitri calls her, and they all end up in the same place at the end of the movie, fighting off the SWAT team that's breaking into the apartment. When Naya and a couple of their friends just got back to their apartment, they notice a few blood spots on the floor. She mentions that Isaiah got cut a couple days ago, and she thought she cleaned up all the blood. Now, early in the movie, we did see the blood trail leading to the bathroom, and then Isaiah explains to her what happened. This could have been a clever thing here. The blood spots are still there, and she verbalized that she thought she cleaned it all up, but she didn't. Now, this could have been a clever thing to actually have Skeletor in hiding, waiting for them, because when he encountered Skeletor again in the streets, Isaiah actually stabbed him with a really big shard of glass. So he would have been bleeding, so that would have been a nice little, like, kind of, like, I was on the edge of my seat. It was like, when Skeletor gonna jump out and get him? Like, there's blood on the floor where they said there shouldn't have been. Skeletor said he'd find them, so when's he gonna jump out? But he didn't. Skeletor actually shows up at the very end when the SWAT team is on its last legs, and then he ends up killing a couple of them with a knife, and they just gun him down because they have guns and he's got knives. And then the SWAT team ends up getting blown up by a pack of C4 that Dimitri happened to have, because one of his gang buddies said he intercepted some contraband weapons, and he mentioned that he had a detonator, but Dimitri apparently didn't take the detonator with him because he had to shoot the C4 to get it to blow up. So they survived the first purge, but they knew that it was government involvement, that the government was behind the mercenaries and all that. We had a few other minor characters that were pretty cool. They called them the Three Wise Men, or the Three Kings, or one of them actually just referred to themselves as the Three Stooges. I didn't actually catch their names, but three characters that bounce off each other pretty well. Some minor comic relief that didn't get a ton of screen time, didn't distract from anything. They're just really nice, and they made an appearance during the actual event when, of all things, the freaking Ku Klux Klan shows up and starts attacking minorities, which I could kind of see that happening. Like, I don't really know how to phrase this next part, but I could see that happening if there were no laws. And, they're completely incognito, they're wearing masks and sheets and all that. And that's another thing. Even though it's the first purge, there were a lot of people wearing masks. And on the news they're saying, is this them hiding the shame of the actions they're doing, or is this their way of making it into some sort of ritual? And I'm thinking to myself, no, this is them hiding their identity so that the day after, if you piss somebody off, then they won't know who you are. They won't know how to find you. Because you can't just assume that everyone's going to follow the law the rest of the year just because their crime is legal for one day of the year. The people still will break the law. That was already been established. So I'm pretty sure that's why people would wear masks during the purge. Because even besides just creeping people out, even if you do get away with the crimes tonight, then people still gotta know who you are tomorrow if they see your face. That reminds me, there was this one part that actually really made me laugh. Isaiah and Naya get pinned up against a sign by this guy wearing this really creepy mask, holding him up at gunpoint. And then it turns out the gun was actually just a little squirt gun painted black. So it's kind of like in Home Alone 3 when the kid, I can't remember the kid's name. In Home Alone 3, it wasn't Kevin, it was the other one, but he had a little bubble gun that he painted black to trick the criminals, saying, this is actually your gun, and it just squirted bubbles. So it's kind of like that scene where he did it just as a joke, as a scare to people, and I thought that was pretty funny. One thing I will say that was kind of a missed opportunity, they should have brought in Lainey Rucker and Joe from the Purge 3. Lainey Rucker, because in universe it's established that she used to be really active during the purges, and she actually went by the nickname Little Death. Like Candy Bar Girl, again, I never got her name, but she flat out says that Lainey was a big inspiration for her. And then Joe mentioned that he used to be in a gang, and there was a lot of gang activity. I'm not saying the whole movie should have been focused on them, but just a little throwback would have been nice. A little cameo by them would have been appreciated. To make things even weirder, there actually was another character named Joe who ended up getting killed, but this takes place 20-something years before. I guess by that logic, Lainey probably wouldn't have been old enough then, because Lainey doesn't look much older than I'd say. Probably not older than 30. I'm a terrible judge at age, but I forgot that this takes place that long before. Joe probably could have made a cameo if they wanted him to, but Lainey would have been too young, so disregard that a little bit. So the movie ends with the Purge coming to a close. All the main characters actually managed to make it out of this one alive, which, props to him for that instead of just killing off one of them at the very end. It looked like Dimitri was going to die because he actually did get shot during the very last leg of the of the fight with the SWAT team. He managed to pull through as far as we can tell, though, and then we aren't really given that much of an ending. It's just a thing of it just kind of stops, and then the credits starts rolling. And then the members of the new Founding Fathers announced that they're going to start a purge nationwide, and it's going to take place in the next year, and it's just going to become an annual thing to where the entire country is involved. And then mid-credits, we get treated to a promo for, apparently, I believe it's the USA channel, is actually going to have a 10-part Purge TV series. And I'm just thinking to myself, no, why make it stop? So, bottom line of this movie, good outline, good start, at least as good as a Purge movie can be, but they followed it up wrong and finished it wrong. And they made it too much. They made it too much government conspiracy. They made it too much government involvement. Instead of the thing of let them weed themselves out, they're like, no, we're taking matters into our own hands. Which, when they brought in that aspect in the second movie, it was done a lot more subtly than it is here, but it was just way too heavy-handed in this one. And I still think the best way to actually go about a series like this, I mean, I'm actually all for the whole, from a writing standpoint, hiring people to participate in the Purge. That actually was a good idea. That was a good angle to take. But they should have let it have just a slow progression of people starting off slow, and then we see some people commit a crime, or somebody kills in self-defense, and then it just becomes easier and easier as time goes on. That should have been how the Purge got to where it is now, or the way it was before the last Purge happened during the Purge 3. Because when Senator Roan got elected president, she put an end to the Purge. So it needed a better build-up instead of just, hey, we got guns for hire, they're just going around killing everybody. That's pretty much all I can remember just off the top of my head. One thing I think is kind of funny is one of the, I don't know if it's publishing companies or producers, but at the end of the movie, I actually did sit through the entire credits. You know, I've watched a lot of Marvel movies. I always watch end credits now. One of the companies' names that was displayed was Perfect World, and I just think that's hilarious that you're going to have a company called Perfect World on a dystopian movie like this. Like, I think dystopian is a good way to put it. It's not a true dystopian movie, but it's gives you the foundation that this country is going in the wrong direction, and it's not going to end well. I had a couple other small notes, but they're dismissible at this point. So I wouldn't say it's as bad as the Purge 3, and it doesn't exactly redeem the Purge 3 either. Again, it starts off not great, but it starts off better than what I was actually expecting, but it ends poorly. Like I said, good outline, filled it in improperly. That's pretty much all I got to say on this one. I don't think I'm actually going to check out the Purge TV series just because I've had enough of these movies, and honestly, I don't even watch regular TV to begin with anymore because there's never anything good on. So I think in terms of me reviewing the Purge, all I'm going to give you is the Purge 3 and this one right here, because I don't really have enough material to review the first two. That's pretty much all I got to say on this. I will say this, I think the Purge would actually make a good video game, as opposed to a TV series. If it were something kind of like Fallout, to where you actually play in a society that is crumbling apart, and you have to fight for survival, and you could choose moral alignment. It could be a thing of be a survivor and help get others to safety, or you can choose to go around killing people and get a bit different outcome depending on how it goes, or maybe even just give it not even give it a definite story, or you get to play as different characters. Have it to where you play as a character, you go until that character dies, and then you play as a new character. Maybe you go through a few different preset storylines, or have it like a randomly generated story. I don't know how complicated that would be to make, but something like that. Make it to where it's kind of a mix of like Fallout and Grand Theft Auto, to where it's dystopian society. You can choose how you go about playing the game in this society. That's really all I got to say about this. Wasn't as bad as the third one, but I still probably rank it number 3 as the worst. Like, none of these are good movies, and I said the first two are like bad movie guilty pleasure kind of things if you want to enjoy them at all. You know, bad movies but harmless enough. I would say in order of least bad to worst, it would go Purge 2, Purge 1, First Purge, and then Purge Election Year. And that's really all I gotta say on the subject. Is short little. I try to keep this video short, but that's all I got. I'm done here. Well, this has been Blake Krusty. You can see a part of Flash and Blaze Productions. Thank you all for watching. Sorry this video was done amateurishly compared to my other ones. I'm without editing software at the moment, so this is all done in one take. So yeah, I will see you guys whenever we finally get my computer fixed. Thanks for watching. Peace out.